Hello, friends. I hope that you are all doing well. It's been a little while since I did one of my smaller videos, and just felt like reaching out today, and just a lot of thoughts going on with all of these interesting times that we're in, right? I don't know if you are aware, but we're in the middle of the Lion's Gate right now, and so it's ushering in lots of interesting energy and bringing things up. And as you know, a lot of us got, even before this year began, we knew that there's something different coming about this year. There's something, what I got was way more intense, and we were going to go through lots of transitions and waves of transitions. So even if you feel like you've been through one big one and it took, well, like that might not be the only one. There's just a lot of waving happening, different layers. And I guess that's in a sense to our benefit, because sometimes it's too much to do it all at once, and so it comes in like titration, a little bit at a time. We get a little bit and then we stop for a little bit. And so it's important, to understand some of that happening. And actually that helps me sometimes get through things, because when I'm in the midst of having a yucky day, and sometimes I know why I'm having a yucky day, and sometimes I don't know why I'm feeling yucky, it helps to remind me either way that, like, you know what, this is just a time of clearing. We are letting go of a lot of the old stuff that we've been comfortable with for decades, and change sometimes it's not bad. It just, sometimes it's a little unsettling, right? It's again, we're not used to something. We've been taught to go with what we know and what we're used to, and that's safe and that's good. And that's not really the case, but that's what we've believed for so long. So then when new things start flowing in, and we're being like pushed from our experiences and the way the energy is moving through the planet to like walk in a new space, it can be quite challenging sometimes. But when I remember that in the middle of, or in the midst of whatever I'm feeling, I kind of will have this little back thought that tells me, oh, just remember, you're clearing. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's this big bad thing going on, for you, or that things are terrible, or life is, over as we know it, or any of that. It's just, I have to allow myself to process through that wave of whatever's happening as it's coming through. And so that really helps me to like mellow out a little bit, take some more deep breaths. And then that's, again, what I wanted to share is like, these are things that we can do when we start to feel this way. Is number one, remember, it's not always like the end of the world. Like whatever we're feeling, a lot of times we are in the past or the future, and that's what makes it feel so much worse. We're not in the present with what's happening, because a lot of times when things seem to be happening, they haven't happened yet. It's stuff that we're worried about, or we're like, something changed what we're experiencing right now. And so we're automatically assuming it's going to lead to something bad, or because it's bringing us into a different direction than we expected, or that we were directing. And so we start to go into this panic mode, or this, freak out mode. And sometimes it's just remembering to let it go, and just remembering the times that we are in. And this year, and I'm sure you've seen it, regardless of what your beliefs are, it is a very huge transformational year. And that means there is lots of changes happening and needing to happen. Like, they are significant and they are necessary, because of the way that the Earth's vibration is changing. A lot of what we used to walk through, a lot of our patterns and our beliefs, and our experiences and our activities, our choices, they no longer serve that anymore in this new energy. They don't match the vibration of the new energy coming through the earth. And so we've got to make our adjustments. And if we're resistant, which, interesting enough, that's what the old paradigm training, in the box training, as I call it, taught us to do, was to like, hold on, you got to control everything. You got to make it happen. You got to, do this, do that. Well, then here's this energy trying to carry this stuff off, and we're holding on to it. So it's creating more obstacles. It's creating more harshness than has to be. So if we learn to like accept and be like maybe we start out like this, and then when the energy hits, we're like, oh wait, I remember that's just the new energy flowing through, and we start to let go. Now it can just pass through. And then we just keep adjusting and assimilating through the changes, assimilating what we need to, let go what we need to, embrace whatever new pieces we need to, maybe transform some pieces in the middle. And it can be much easier, but it's up to each one of us. Nobody can do it for somebody else. And it is a practice. Like, I would love to say, like, I know all of these things. I've been aware of these things for so long, through my training, my spiritual training for like decades. But it's a whole different thing to walk through it. And it's funny because some days you can really get it and you have it down. And you feel like you're on top of all of it. And you're like, yeah, I got this. And then you wake up the next day and it's as if like, where did it all go? What happened? How did I get here? And how do I walk through this? And I don't want to let go, or whatever it is. And that's okay too. That's just part of our process. And that is exactly like we're practicing and we're getting layers at a time. And a whole layer might come up and we clear, and maybe it's painful, maybe it's challenging, maybe it's not. And then that clears away and we're like, yeah, it feels really good for a while, and then all of a sudden something comes up again. And I've heard so many of us, I used to say this too, like, oh no, I thought I did this, I thought it was done. And we start to feel bad, like we were mistaken or something, that we cleared something. But it's not necessarily the case, because again, what I get is it's a different layer. Now we're going deeper. And now we're letting another part of it go. We're assimilating another part. We have an opportunity to do that. And again, depending on what we do, it either helps it or it hinders it. And and again, because there's so much happening at the same time right now, it is a lot. It just, we put off a lot. I think we procrastinated a lot of our self-healing, as a mass consciousness. And so now we got to the point where we can't put it off anymore. It's going to happen one way or another. And so again, like there's so many things in it. Right now, the best thing we can all do is like tune into ourselves, tune into our heart, live from our heart, and live. Don't let this stop your way of life. Giving, like, if you find yourself in so much fear that you're not even living, you might want to stop and ask yourself, what's the point? What's happening here? Is all of this necessary? Because when we're in the present moment, a lot of those things that we're afraid of haven't happened to us or to you in that moment. It's stuff you're afraid of, that the possibility of it might happening, or the possibility of what it leads to, or any of that. And so if we begin the practice of bringing ourselves back, that's very helpful. And those are some of the things, the main things that I find, in doing. And to do that, it can be simple, exercises as breathing, taking deep breaths, it's just really slow, deep breaths. I find, breathing in through your nose, and just full body breaths in. And sometimes I like make sure I bring the breath up into my head, and like oxygenizing, your body basically. And as you're doing that, you're bringing all of your energy, all your focus in the here and the now. And then all of a sudden, when you stop in that moment and you relook around or relook at the situation that you were, might be freaking out about, you realize, wait a minute, I'm okay right here, right now, in this moment. I don't have to worry, because tomorrow, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? Haven't you had that experience? Like I used to have that so much. I was such a good creator in my mind, right? Of all the ifs, ands, whats, buts, whatever, and I would worry, and something would happen, and I would start seeing all the pictures that might be attached to that. And I would get myself all worked up over it, and then figure out, okay, what am I going to do if this happens? What am I going to do if this happens? What am I going to do if this happens? And trying to like be proactive about all these things. And then the next day would hit and none of it would happen. And I just wasted all of that energy, whatever physically that brought up for me. Because a lot of times if you're anything like me, when I get nervous or anxious or afraid or whatever, I feel it physically. That's kind of part of my teacher. So I would waste all of that, and then none of it would even happen. And something different might happen. And so that's part of what I want to remind us all today. Is like, the more we come back to the present and this new foundation that we're creating, and that's actually, it's really already created, that we're walking forward into, it's all about being present in the moment and heart-centered. That's the way that the universe flows. That's the way nature flows. That's what we're being taught and brought back to. And if you think about it, a lot of the things leading up to this point have been trying to teach us that. And it's just whether, we've been good students or not, whether we've been, opened up to it or practiced. And there's no judgment in there, whether you have or haven't either. That doesn't matter. What matters now is what you do with it at this moment. And so these are really great, things to look at and to start practicing. And so again, you find yourself in those moments. What do? First of all, it's stop. It's about becoming aware, like, of all of it. So you're like this behind the scenes observer now, instead of being caught in the drama of it and, just adding fuel to the fire. Now you're observing it. Now you can be like, whoa, okay, I'm out of balance here. Let me stop. Let me take some deep breaths, bring myself back. You can use oils. A lot of times I use essential oils, even like peppermint or, lavender, for calmness, eucalyptus, whatever it is. You can use different oils. You can do your research on that and breathe it in through your body, because that does something too, and helps you with whatever depending on what you need in that moment. And then there's a lot of other spiritual exercises that I like to do is cutting the cords to any attachment that I have to other people, to other people's, patterns and beliefs, because I don't want to do things based on their beliefs. I want to be authentic to myself now. And that was hard enough for me to get to this point. I'm almost 50 this month, and it took me this many decades to be able to be okay and embrace who I am and what I feel inside. I don't want to let somebody else still influence that. I might think about and learn from it, but I've got to come inside and make sure it's in alignment with myself, and then there's affirmations. So I cut the cords, I clear that stuff. Let me go back for a minute, cutting cords. I sometimes work with Archangel Michael, and I am not a religious person. I'm very spiritual, but I do not hone into any one specific religion. I find beauty in all of them, and I find my spirituality in life just in love and light. And so what I will call on Archangel Michael because he's been awesome in helping with protection, with helping to clear. He works really good with electronic stuff. And so I'll thank him for assisting me in cutting the cords that are no longer serving me or that are not mine. And I'll just take a deep breath in, let it go, and just feel all of that just kind of detaching from my body. And sometimes just with that, like besides the breathing, I'll feel so much lighter, and I'll be like, wow. And then I'll know, like, wow, I was holding on to somebody else's stuff. I was holding on to somebody else's fear, or whatever it is, old pattern. Again, no judgment. It's just observing. Now I can come back to this moment, cut the cords. Now I ground. Again, another deep breath in, bringing a white light, visualize a white light through my body. Exhale that light down through my legs into Mother Earth, and I spread roots like a tree. And so again, that's bringing me back to present to the moment within my body, with my mind, my consciousness, awareness at this moment. Pull it all together, and now I'm here, and I'm like, okay, now I'll go into affirmations. And I have some that are my favorite, and if you've followed any of my stuff, you've probably heard them a billion times, but these are my ultimate favorite, and most of these I got from Louise Hay, or I might have shifted some of the wording or not, but I just love them. And it's number one, sometimes I used to do as a mantra back in the days when I didn't feel so safe, is I am safe. I am safe, I am safe, I am safe. So if you find yourself in a place where you're like super fearful, breathe and I'm safe, I am safe, I am safe, until you start to feel it through your body, until your cells start to accept it, that knowing that in this moment, we're not talking about tomorrow, this moment, I'm safe, I'm okay, okay. I trust the process of life. Life brings me only positive experiences. My source comes from within. Nobody else is responsible for my source. My source comes from within. So if I am radiating a energy of abundance, then that is going to flow to me one way or another, and it doesn't matter which way it comes. It might come from a specific job. It might come, who knows how. I don't even want to think about it, because then I limit the process of how the abundance might show up. And I don't want to do that anymore. That was the old, mistakes in thinking that I was taught, that was very limited of how the resources can come in. And so I'm opening myself up to all of it in all ways, right? And I am supported. This is one of my favorite ones. I am supported by the universe in all ways, always, always. And that reminds me, you know what? Even the trusting the process one, that was reminding me, like, I am safe. The universe has my back. And if I bring my vibration, knowing that the law of attraction, to a certain space, that's all that possibly can come back to me. I just have to remember to come from that space. And these affirmations help me to do that. It helps to remind me, these are what I believe. I believe wholeheartedly that I am safe. I believe that I can trust the process of life. I believe that the universe has my back. I believe that my source comes from within. Now, when I hold that space, that's the vibration that I'm putting out. That's what the universe is going to deliver back. And so again, now I could bring it back, all of that, into the present moment. And now I'm like, okay, now what is for my highest good to do at this moment? Thank you, higher self. Thank you, divine design, for showing me what to do at this moment. And then it's breathing until I get some kind of nudge of what I'm supposed to do. And this may sound like this huge process, but it's really not. It can happen in seconds, especially once you get it down, And then all of a sudden might get a nudge, like making a video, maybe I'm gonna go out, to the store. Maybe I need to go rest. I need to do some kind of self-care, whatever it is. It's follow those nudges, even if it seems silly or unrelated. Follow them, because I've been so blown away to how something so simple that I was guided to, that made no sense in my logical mind, that ended up bringing the most amazing blessings into my life. And that was when I let go and just be with it. And then you just keep living that way, and you keep practicing. And so every time you get out of that space and something from the outside or out here like reminds you, and it's just another part of your unconscious coming up to balance, because everything out here is just a projection of what we have inside of us. And so if you're experiencing a lot of fear and all that, then there just might be more that you've got to work on and balancing in the inside of you that you've been afraid to look at. Maybe you're afraid to look at the fear, or you're afraid to embrace the shadows. I know I used to be. I didn't know it was okay. I thought we had to be in love and light all the time. And then I learned about that embracing the shadows was like the most amazing thing that I could do for myself and my healing. And it made all the difference. And so like we start to look at this and like, let's be okay without judgment to look at what is inside of us, what still needs to come out, or what needs to be healed or balanced, or what just needs to be let go of. And then through doing this practice, it kind of will start to show you. It just starts showing you through your experiences, through your body, through, your daily activities. And then if you just keep embracing it, you keep having this awareness back here, like, oh, this is just another clearing I'm doing. So if I'm going through a discomfort, like maybe it's a physical thing that hits my body, and like, oh, okay, my stomach hurts or my head hurts, or, or maybe I got some kind of emotional dig from somebody in my family, or whatever, something happened that triggered something. And I feel this intense emotion, right? And I'm going through all this and I'm having all these reactions to it. And then I stop. Again, that observer's watching. It's like, okay, let's stop. Let's think about this for a minute. Let's breathe. Let's ground, cut cords, do your affirmations. Now, how do you feel? It's like, oh, I'm okay. I'm okay. And then it's just doing that practice over and over again, following the nudges. And then right now, again, this year is also all about coming back to yourself, being authentic to who you are, to your innate, unique abilities and beingness, really, that you are here to bring to the world at this time. And it always is going to tie in what we're here to do at for our high school. It's always going to tie into our passion. And do your best not to compare to anybody else, because everybody's a different piece of the puzzle. And each piece is important. If we are missing any one piece, the puzzle won't come together. So we need everybody being authentic as their piece of the puzzle. And so the best thing we can do is to keep doing all of these exercises until we get more and more comfortable with ourselves, with loving ourselves, with taking care of ourselves, learning our own boundaries, learning, what steps we can take to help ourselves feel better. And it just, goes on and on. But this really makes a difference in the world, because when we are in a more balanced space, number one, you're going to experience that more in your life then. By that's going to be what you're going to see, what's going to come back to you. And all these things can be happening in the world, doesn't mean it's going to be affecting you, because if your vibration doesn't match that, then you're not worried about that. And the amazing thing is our ripple effect goes out, and it does make a difference on the planet. And the more peace and love and centeredness and balance and joy that we are displaying as an individual, that goes out in a powerful way. And the more of us that work on this together, just imagine it lighting up around the world, and then more and more from those ripples start to fill in the blanks. This is how we're changing things right now. This is a huge time of transformation, and it's inner transformation. It's not about fighting the world, because if we fight something, we're making it bigger. We're saying this exists. Anytime we're afraid of something, I don't want to get this, I don't want this to happen, we're actually focusing on that happening. We're putting fuel on that. When we focus on what we don't like, you are going to manifest a heck of a lot more of what you don't like. That's just the way the universe works. It's a law of attraction. It's a vibrational thing. And so it's a good time to practice all of that, to remember all of that, and start to be conscious of what are you saying? What are you doing every day? What kind of interactions are you having on Facebook, on your social media, within your family, with your friends, when you go out in the world every day? Are you, are you being angry? Are you being rude? Are you being, are you in fear? What is it? And maybe you can take steps to do something a little different that's more in alignment with love and joy and peace. And knowing that you're safe, I find, makes a huge difference. When we come back and remember that we're safe, and if any of you are feeling really afraid of the virus or being sick, check out Louise Hay's work. I love that woman's work. It changed my entire life, and it brought so much freedom and love and joy into my life. It's incredible. And I really urge you to, or nudge you to check it out if you are having any of those fears, because dis-ease is just a message. And if we don't need that experience, we don't need that disease. So we can change our vibration that this does not bother us at all. It does not have to affect us the way that they're just trying to scare people that it does. And I know this wholeheartedly because I have lived in this belief system for decades now. And I've seen it with my family, with my friends. I've seen it in action over and over and over again. And I have a whole 100% faith in that and understanding and knowing, and so again, if you're feeling so much fear, please check that out, because it makes a huge difference, and it might just bring so much more joy and love into your life. Because if you're fighting something right now, or you're in the state of fear, how is your life looking? Are you enjoying any part of your life? Are you able to? This whole thing is going on. I'm still, even though I have my ups and downs, and I still go through, because just like you, all of us, we're all going through our own clearing, and I know it, but I'm doing it consciously because I'm excited to do this. I'm excited because each layer that I clear, I'm getting more to my authentic self. But even though all this stuff is going around, I can still sit here and do this video with a smile on my face. And I feel that right now. Maybe yesterday I might have been sad or frustrated or going through something, but that's okay. Even through my biggest frustrations or anything right now, I still can feel good. I can still feel safe. I still know that everything's happening for a reason. I still know that I'm being led to where I'm supposed to be. And I'm still having lots of moments of joy in between everything. So I'm still living my life, and I'm still making choices. And I think that's important to remember. It's important for us to live our lives to the fullest, or what is the point? And sometimes just because somebody's in authority doesn't always make them right. Sometimes they're stuck in the old paradigm thinking still too, and that's what our old structures were all based on. All those structures are crumbling away, and that is what's happening right now. So it might be a good time to reevaluate, why am I following this? Why am I giving them so much power? And maybe it's time to rethink this, and what changes might I make in my life to feel more joy and feel more, balanced or peace in my life. And these are some of the simple steps you could take. And so anyway, for now, I think I already went longer than I was planning to go. If you are looking for assistance in your life, I do offer my private services. It's on my website. I'm a life coach, an intuitive life coach, and I love to help people through the transitions, because I know how much it can be, and I've been through so much in my journey. It feels like lifetimes and lifetimes. And so all the information is on my website. I also have a whole bunch of free stuff on my website that's all the old videos that I've done of the meditations. I have tons of meditations. If you want to listen to a meditation or while you go to bed, some healing meditation, some messages and guidance from my circles, the class that I do. So all that is on my website. Also, the schedule for whatever I could do online spiritual support circles, and we come together and we have a great time together. It's a great place to just feel free to share what you need to know that you're supported, to maybe get some guidance or healing. And then I do a little guided meditation. It's also can be very healing and help us to go within ourselves to hear whatever we need to hear. And that's on the website. There's another class that sometimes I offer. That information is there. And whatever else I'll be doing will be up there. There's some interviews that are there. You can also find me on YouTube. My website is thelabyrinthoflife.com. And again, that's thelabyrinthoflife.com. And then you can find me on YouTube. I have a lot of like short videos, just different messages that I get to share here and there. And it's just under my name, Carolyn Kaufman, Carolyn, and the last name is Kaufman. Or you can find me on Facebook. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you and see how you're doing. So please, if you feel like, commenting on any of those things, it'd be great to hear where you're at and how you're doing. And if you have questions or feedback, I'd love to hear it. And then hopefully we'll see you all again one of the events, or we'll catch you the next message. And if until then, please take care of yourselves, practice and embrace yourself and love yourself, and allow life in the moment to guide you more deeper within yourself, into your authentic self. And that is such a beautiful thing, and the most amazing thing we can each do right now. All right, much love, hugs, and blessings to you.